Now this is a good exercise to restore some movement in the feet, to get some fluid around. Here I'm just showing you what's called the transverse arch. I'm just moving it around for a bit. So you see it's sort of from the big toe to the little toe at the ball of the foot. So at that knuckle is where the arch is. There should be quite a bit of movement here, so you can just play around and get that happening. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cup the heel, and then I'm going to interlace my fingers and my hands together, and simple enough, just sort of rotate around. You can play around creating the movement with either the hands or creating the movement more so with the feet. Something else you can do is pinch sort of between the metatarsals. There's quite a bit of connective tissue, as well as the nerves and blood supply, which is actually held within the connective tissue between the metatarsals. This right here is a pre-stretch for what we were doing before. Just scissoring the toes apart. Then you can scissor the toes up and down, grasping either at the knuckle, sort of the ball of the foot, or adjacent to it, or at the top of the toe. So you want to hold these just for a good amount of time, at least 8 seconds. About 30 seconds is good. It sort of feels like you're ripping your skin apart when you do it the first few times, but you can see myself, I got quite a bit of movement with the feet. I've been running barefoot and all that good stuff. Here I'm just going to show everything again at a different angle. I might introduce a few new things. Here is essentially the same thing as what we were doing before. It's just we're taking a different approach. Applying pressure on the metatarsals and trying to pull them apart, and then moving the toes around directly on the point, as opposed to using leverage further away and interlacing the fingers into the toes. So here I just pulled my fingers through my toes. It's just another way to get there. If you can't get your fingers in at all, you can just do this one, which is where you just put pressure underneath the toes themselves. It does exactly the same thing. You can see I'm just playing around with sort of different means to the same methods, or whatever the hell that saying is. Just getting space in between the metatarsals themselves. It's particularly good if you got something like any sort of inflammation, so fasciitis or tendonitis in the foot. There's 33 joints and over 100, I believe over 106 ligaments and tendons in the foot. So there's quite a bit going along there, and it's often overlooked, and you throw a shoe on it or sock on it, and then you sort of forget you have all these toes and how complex the foot is really. What you might not have noticed as well is on one of the exercises, when I was cupping the heel, I was actually pinching with my thumb sort of at the base of my heel, underneath the tibia and fibula, sort of behind the ball of the foot. It often gets quite sticky with the fascia there. It's just something that it's just an area where the body tends to store a lot of tension. Can be a good sensation, can be a bad sensation. So again, pinching the spot and moving around. I'm combining two different aspects, so pinching the spot and interlacing the finger at the same time. Now here there's actually a plexus, which is a gathering of nerves and vessels, which interlaces, runs behind and runs on top of a muscle right here, which, especially if you're wearing orthotics or shoes with heel support, it actually applies pressure here pretty much constantly. So to get into it, it's often a good idea. You can either go above and behind it, below and behind it, directly on top. You can also use both thumbs to sort of pull the muscle away, or apply pressure directly onto it, just to loosen that area and get blood supply to essentially the rest of the foot. Okay, so we just looked into mobilizing the metatarsals of the foot. There'll be a few more videos on this later on. I also want to get into the talus, calcaneus, which also affects the arch of the foot, as well as the muscles of the lower limb, which support the ankle. Alright, see you soon.